Mbappé and Haaland are going to be facing up.
Yeah.
Now, these might be the two players who, for the next 10 years, might be hogging the Ballon d'Ors. That's what it looks like. For me, that's the match within the match that we'll have to look at. It might even decide the Ballon d'Or for next year.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Clean Strike. Is the moment of the year, is this moment of the season, the knockout phase of the Champions League has arrived. The moment of the season, the key moment for many teams, the win or go home, is that time of the year where we can see if a team can fight for the title or get a failure in the Champions League. Today I'm joined by Jibril Diop and Iwan January to talk about the matchup of the match day of the Champions League, and I need to start, guys, with the biggest match of the match day: Man City, Real Madrid, the class of the champions, the last two, maybe the biggest two candidates to get the title. One of them is going to say goodbye even before the last 16. Jibril, what do you think about this pair?
It's going to be a big game. It's the biggest game of this phase of the competition. It will be very interesting to see which team will come out on top. One thing is sure, a top team is leaving the competition this early, so that's going to be a big shock, whoever goes out. I give Real Madrid the edge, though. I think Real Madrid has a 60% chance of winning this, of edging Man City, because defensively they're more solid, they have less weaknesses, and City, this is a down year for them. So yeah.
Iwan, it's been a season very complicated for Man City, not only in terms of in the Premier League, because they are also suffering, but also in terms of roles inside the team. Since Rodri get injured, they are missing maybe the key player for Guardiola's tactics. How can this absence of Rodri, how can this feels when it comes to this, when an important game like this one against Real Madrid?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because Man City over the last 5-6 years under Guardiola with Rodri in the team, even before that with Fernandinho, you never kind of looked at it as like a team will run through them. You kind of thought Man City are solid, they're going to have to play really good football, they're going to have to deliver a pinpoint cross, they're going to have to play some nice football to kind of get in behind, square it, hope Edison's out of position. But this season it's very different. Man City are kind of all over the place. You can kind of just go straight through the middle of them. Kovacic isn't necessarily the pivot that Guardiola wants. Their new signing from Porto, Nico, he got injured in the FA Cup against Leyton Orient, which is not a good sign for Man City, because I think a lot of the fans were kind of pinning hopes on him going in and being able to do the Rodri role. Madrid obviously started not poorly this season, but it wasn't as exciting as everyone thought it was going to be, I think. Is that fair to say? I think everyone it was a bit of a slow burn, but they've really hit some form. Even with a 1-1 draw in a derby, form goes out the window, as they say. You can never predict exactly who's going to win, and I think Real Madrid, on paper, not even on paper, just looking at everything you've seen this season, Real Madrid should win this quite comfortably, this tie. And when I say quite comfortably, I would be shocked if at any point City look the better team. Just the profile of players that Madrid have to offer. Yes, they're kind of weak defensively, but everyone in that team, it is a bit more of a team at this point in time than Man City. Man City, as you said, the roles, some players aren't really sure what to do. Legs look like they're kind of going. Bernardo Silva looks like he might be reaching the end of his peak. De Bruyne, especially, Guardiola's not throwing him into the big games. So, yeah, I think I'm leaning towards a Real Madrid win here. I've got a 75% chance of them going through, I think. I think City have only got about 25% chance of going through in this tie.
Definitely, Real Madrid are the favourites, but also you were mentioning about the injuries of Man City. You were mentioning the last injury of Nico González, the new signing from Porto, the Spanish player, one of the Spanish talents coming from La Masia, that he was playing in Portugal. Also, Real Madrid has a strong problem with the injuries, because we were commenting not only the absences of Carvajal and Militao, who had this ACL injury that they have sidelined them for the rest of the season, but also we knew yesterday on Sunday that Lucas Vázquez, the the player who was substituting and playing on the left back for Real Madrid, is also injured. So Real Madrid now is in trouble. They are going with a defense with the only player from the first team who is available right now on defense is Fran Garcia, because the rest Vallejo is not playing with any continuity. Then Raúl Asencio, the guy from the academy, has become like the sensation on the pitch on this because of this absence. But also they are traveling with three other players of the academy, Jacobo, and Loren Aguado. So it's quite a problem for Real Madrid in defense. I don't know how you see them guys. Could it be the defense, the opportunity for Man City to try to get some result in this pair?
I've been quite impressed with Tchouaméni's ability to go back into defence. I think he's a top class centre defensive midfielder, but he's really excelled at being able to adapt to a centre back, because a centre back has to be a bit more disciplined. If a DM pushes up, you've kind of got the cover of the centre backs, but all of a sudden he is that cover, so he's got to be very positionally aware, and he's really taken to that quite well. And Camavinga obviously returned on in the Madrid derby, so I kind of expect that he might be thrown straight back into the lineup, maybe at left back, or they might even experiment with him at centre back. But yeah, I think I still think there's enough in that back line of Real Madrid to kind of thwart the offensive ability of Man City at the moment.
Definitely, Jibril.
I think one narrative that I haven't seen people talk about enough is the fact that Mbappé and Haaland are going to be facing up.
Yeah.
Now, these might be the two players who, for the next 10 years, might be hogging the Ballon d'Ors. That's what it looks like. So for me, that's the match within the match that we'll have to look at. It might even decide the Ballon d'Or for next year, for this season actually. So it will be interesting to see how both of those guys kind of try to hog the limelight within those 90 minutes and also in the return leg. Circling back on the defensive thing, I kind of disagree about Tchouaméni being a good central defender because he's had his moments. Obviously, in the derby, for example, he had made some key tackles there, but he also gave away a penalty. Now, was it a penalty or not? That's another debate.
Well, that's why I for the referees that we can enter on another time.
I think it's unfair to pin that on him, because a penalty is it might be a bad tackle, but a defender, an attacker, a lot of the time can't buy it, but they can manufacture a penalty situation. They can find a way to stick a leg in and win a penalty. So I think it's a little bit harsh to judge him there, but I take your point, definitely.
Absolutely. No, overall he struggled as a central defender since he's been moved back there overall, and even the Real Madrid fans, the big shout they've been making is that they should bring Raúl Asensio as a starter from now on and leave Tchouaméni on the bench. So yeah.
Just to sum up this pairing, Man City Real Madrid, Jibril, can you give us your percentage?
Yeah, so I started by saying 60%. 60% Real Madrid win. 60-40 for Real Madrid, absolutely.
I'll say maybe 55-45 for Real Madrid, because we know Man City and Guardiola in these pairings, they became different. So it's going to be very, very, very tight. But let's talk also about another of the matchups. This Bayern Munich Celtic Glasgow, a cool matchup. We are seeing Bayern Munich that has get back on track with 7 wins in a row in Bundesliga, with good sensations on the pitch. Finally, these dubs about Vincent Kompany, they have erased from the atmosphere in Allianz Arena. We can see clearly Bayern Munich as a favorite for this pairing. Don't you agree, guys?
Yeah, I feel bad for Celtic. I think they often struggle in Europe. Obviously, they've had some fairly famous wins. Notably, they beat Barcelona a couple of years ago. But I think it might just be the occasion might just get a bit too much for them. Bayern Munich are kind of expected, even if Kompany's not the most experienced manager. They've got the likes of Kane, Kimmich. Even you're looking at your Sanes and your Musialas at this point, who are experienced enough to be able to kind of work this tie to their advantage and never look like giving up many goals, if any, to be honest. So, yeah, I've got I'll dim it down, 95% chance of Bayern Munich going through here. I was going to say 99, but there is always that small chance that Celtic could pull off a miracle.
Definitely, Gabriel. I don't know if you agree
Yes.
that Celtic Glasgow has a tremendous, a very complicated pairing this time, and it will be a miracle if they pass over Bayern Munich.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Ewan for the reminder that Celtic beat Barcelona. I mean, that's one of the best Champions League nights ever from a neutral's perspective. I don't think it's going to happen again because this is going to be a double tie. It's going to be home and away, and I don't think Celtic has what it takes to withstand Bayern Munich over 180 minutes. So, yeah, it's going to be very one-sided, this one. I give Bayern Munich 80% chance of moving through. For Bayern, the key thing, though, is dissipating the doubts that started in the league phase. Because in the league phase, they weren't convincing at all. So defensively, but also attackingly, being able to break teams down. They have to show in these two games against Celtic that they have this ability to win when the team is sitting deep. Because sometimes they struggled this season in that regard. And the good news for Bayern is that, and I'm going to finish here, Alphonso Davies has extended his contract. And that was a big thorn on their side. Like, it was unsettling the locker room a little bit, that uncertainty. So now that that is out of the way, I think they can move forward with a fresh perspective on things.
Definitely, that stabilization and renewal of key players such as Alphonso Davies, or the renovations that could come in the next days, for example, with Jamal Musiala, was another player who was set to extend the contract with Bayern Munich, can give more peace to the team when it comes to this moment of the season. But also we have another important matchup in Champions League, French derby, Stade Brestois, Paris Saint-Germain. Jibril, I think you know very well both of the teams. We are asking, can Stade Brestois make the surprise against PSG and get the knockout of the Champions League, or we will see another Luis Enrique masterclass and they will advance to the last 16?
The good thing about this game is very easy to predict it because we already have a sample size. A week ago, they played in the French league and PSG won 4-2. Dembele scored a hat-trick in that game, and Dembele, by the way, I think it has been the best player in world football to start the year, in my opinion, because he's been scoring hat-trick after hat-trick, brace after brace. He's been sensational. I think PSG is going to take this one, of course, because PSG, their squad is just too strong, too big. They have difference makers at every position. So I think they will win this, but it will be tight. I don't think it will be like a huge margin because Brest has this ability to absorb attacks and go on the counter attack. So I think it will be like 1 goal, 2 goal difference overall.
Yeah, we were talking about, you were mentioning Ousmane Dembélé. Now he has get a tremendous shape again. We are seeing a player who can be decisive, but the problem of Ousmane Dembélé is that sometimes we see him making a row of 5-6 games on a very good way, but then he disappears. He gets in trouble in the pits. I mean, he struggles to produce goals. Can it be a problem if this Ousmane Dembélé comes back to that moment where he was questioned even by his own coach, Iwan?
I think it could be, yeah. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm massively clued up on PSG and that sort of thing. But the one thing I would say with Dembele is it's almost now he's been given the opportunity to be the main man, whereas everywhere else he's never been the main man. At Barcelona, he had Messi with him, he had Mbappé and Neymar with Mbappé with him at PSG. Sorry, so all of a sudden the onus is on him, and it's freedom a little bit. I think it's kind of being like, right, well, I have to step up. I don't have my mate to bail me out. I don't have a friend in the team who's gonna, if I square it to him, he'll do a bit of magic and score the goal. You know, so I'm impressed with that. It's interesting, isn't it? All same country ties in the Champions League are always quite interesting because the teams know each other very well. Like they kind of know what the other one's going to do. Yes, it's knockout football, but you can't really get away from the fact that it's two teams from the same country. The only thing I would say is if Brest just spring a massive surprise, like I remember a few years ago when Liverpool drew City, and Liverpool were teetering on the Champions League spaces. It wasn't guaranteed we were going to get Champions League, and then it was kind of looking at it like, well, it's going to be tight, but you kind of give City the edge. It's a Centurion season, and then Liverpool were 3-0 up in 20 minutes or however long it was, and it was all of a sudden like, oh, okay, that's Champions League football. So Brest could do that. I'd give them a little bit less of a chance than Liverpool at that time, because obviously at that time we had Sadio Mane, Firmino, Salah. So, but I 90% chance for PSG to go through in this one, 10% for Brest.
80-24 Paris Saint-Germain is clear in this matchup. Yeah. Also, we have a double Italian-Dutch header. We have Juventus, PSV Eindhoven and Feyenoord Milan. Quite historical teams, quite good teams. Let's start with in Turin, with Juventus, PSV Eindhoven. Juventus has been struggling a lot in the last games. Mota has been questioned for the performance of the team this season. Is it possible that Juventus can go to the last 16 against PSV Eindhoven? How do you see it, guys?
The problem Juventus has with this game is that they have the biggest game of their season this weekend against Inter Milan. Now, will they be able to focus on this Champions League game, or will their heads already be turned on, okay, we have to play against Inter Milan on the weekend? Because PSV, you might look at it and think, oh, okay, it's an easy task, but it's a solid team. It's a solid European team, a big European club historically. PSV as well is right now they're battling really hard in the Dutch league with Ajax they're battling right now really hard with Ajax for the Dutch title, and they lost their first place. So it's going to be very interesting to see how both of those teams kind of focus on this game, the task at hand. Juventus is stronger. Juventus is the odds-on favorite to win it. I give them a 70% chance of edging PSV overall, but yeah, I think PSV has an outside chance of going through as well.
Yeah, again, Juve have drawn a lot of games this season, and in a knockout game, two-legged knockout game, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think if they can win their home leg, I think the team and Motta will know they're good enough to go to Eindhoven and not necessarily lose the game. So I would lean towards Juventus, but again, I think PSV are an exciting team. It's not too much of a mismatch, I'd say. There's some nice players in that PSV team. So obviously I watched them play Liverpool recently, and they were quite impressive. I think Johan Bakayoko scored an absolute wonder goal. Nice little chest down to him. Yeah, it was outstanding. And I'd say 55-45% chance for Juve, but I'm not counting PSV out. I'd like to see how they get on in Turin before I fully give my opinion.
I agree with you one. 55-45 for Juve. It's a very tight matchup, so we will see who goes to the next round. And also on another Italian Dutch pairing, Feyenoord Milan, two historical teams, two European Cup champions. Do you see, guys, maybe Milan could be a little bit favorite for the tradition and the momentum with Sergio Conceição, or can Feyenoord keep the surprise?
I'm leaning towards Milan here. I think that the new signings they made, João Felix is an exciting option, not necessarily going to start, but definitely exciting off the bench. And Jimenez going back to his old club, he's going to want to prove a point. I don't think he's Champions League tied, but yeah. And at the back, Tomori, I've got a colleague here who's a Milan fan, and he's been very impressed with a couple of the players since the new manager came in. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Milan. I'll go 60-40% chance here for Milan to advance in the Champions League.
Yeah, Milan is not having a great season, but they have this new manager bounce since Conceição came in, and they have this player I love, Reinders, who's been very underrated this season. I think Milan would do a good job to keep him this summer. I think because there'll be suitors for sure. It will be interesting to see how Milan asserts its status as favourite in this game, because a lot of times they go into games they're favourites, but they kind of let teams run all over them. So it will be interesting to see, okay, can they seize the moment and remind everyone, we are Milan, we are the favourites, we are the juggernauts, we're going to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and we're going to dominate our opponent.
Definitely, and also Sergio Conceição is a coach that knows how to play these two-leg pairings. So I give I give as a favorite more for Milan than Feyenoord. And just to conclude this roundup of matchups, we have another 3 important and very nice games: Sporting Portugal, Borussia Dortmund, Monaco, Benfica, and Bruges, Atalanta. I'm going to start in Lisbon. Sporting Dortmund. Quickly, guys, who do you see as a favorite? Give me your percentage. I go by Dortmund, but slightly 52-48 for Dortmund, because the situation in Dortmund has been quite trembling on the last weeks.
Yeah, I think it probably is tight like that, but I wouldn't. It's difficult to call, isn't it? Since Amorim left, Sporting have not looked as good as they did. I mean, Gyökeres is still a top level striker, I think. So, yeah, I think 55-45, but it could go either way. I'm not going to give a team, but one team's got slightly more chance and the other team has slightly less chance. But I don't know which is which.
Yes, I do watch the Portuguese league quite often, and I like Sporting. I actually think Sporting are the favourites. 55-45 for Sporting. The problem with Sporting is Gyökeres is coming back from an injury, so he just came back last weekend against Porto. Didn't look really fresh. So the goals have dried up for Sporting in his absence, of course. And since Amorim left, they have this downturn of form. So it's very hard for them. But I still think they're favourites because Dortmund is in a crisis this season. It's unbelievable. I think this is a throwaway season for Dortmund. It's just about salvaging the season in the Bundesliga to make sure you finish maybe the Europa League spots, and maybe sneak into the Champions League places. But for me, I think Sporting, with Giovanni Quenda, he's been a revelation this season, and Gyökeres, they just have too much offensively to. They can beat Dortmund, I think. Yeah.
Guys, just to close this, quick percentages on Bruges, Atalanta, and Monaco, Benfica. Starting with Bruges, Iwan.
Is that Bruges, Atalanta? Sorry.
Yeah, Bruges.
Yes,
Atalanta.
I'll go 70-30 Atalanta. I think they're a very exciting team to watch.
Jibril.
90-10 for Atalanta.
Oh, that's
90-10.
nice.
Atalanta has been one of the best teams in this season. So yeah.
Bruges were good against Man City.
Monaco, Benfica.
Ooh, I will go 50-50. I think
50-50.
this is coin toss because Monaco started the season well and not looking as strong anymore. Benfica have got some exciting players. Di Maria's in still playing to a fairly high level. So I think, 50-50.
I'll go 60-40. 60-40 for Benfica because Monaco, since the civil year started, they've really struggled in the French league. So for me, that form is going to translate in the Champions League as well. So Benfica for sure. And watch out for Pavlidis. He's been very good in the Champions League. Not as great in the Portuguese league, but in the Champions League, he seems to be a different beast. So
really,
watch out for him.
That game, Benfica-Barcelona, maybe the craziest game we have seen this season in Champions League.
Absolutely.
We saw what Pavlidis is capable of. So with a match day awaiting for us this Tuesday and Wednesday, the first leg of the knockout round of the Champions League, we are going to comment a lot, we are going to talk a lot, and it's going to be amazing. So please, if you have liked this episode, please like, share, comment. Who do you think who is going to advance? Which are your percentages? Whatever suggestion you have for us, please leave us in the comments. And again, thank you so much to Iwan and Jibril for joining me in this clean strike session because what is coming for us is tremendous. So see you in a few days to comment what has this Champions League knockout run has deferred to us.